My wife abandoned me, taking with her both our children and our home in Madrid, which is worth 2 million euros. Throughout the course of the trial, she gave a contemptuous smirk and declared, "You will never see them again." I was devastated by grief, but I nevertheless managed to move into the basement of my mother's house in Barcelona after she passed away. While I was going through the mess, I came across a concealed safe that was located behind the boiler. Inside was a letter that started with the following words: "If you are reading this, they have finally succeeded in locating you." The combination was my birth date. I'm a father to 2 children, Lucas, who is 7 years old, and Sophia, who is 5 years old. I'm also a freelance programmer, and I'm 38 years old. My name is Daniel. 10 years ago, I made the decision to relocate to Madrid from Barcelona, where I spent my childhood, because of my ex-girlfriend, Anna, who was employed by a major firm in the marketing department. I maintain the stubborn conviction that hard effort is a guaranteed path to success while working from home and juggling cold coffee and phone calls from clients from all over Europe. I was the one person in my family who was always calm, the one who never yelled, and the one who repaired dishwashers and Wi-Fi connections. I was completely unprepared for the fact that I would be revealing the details of my life in the manner of a person cleaning out a storage unit. However, that is the way things are. The moment you open a single box, you are suddenly flooded with a number of memories that are difficult to bear. Anna's remarks struck me with the force of a punch on the day that I departed from the courtroom. "You will never get to see the children again," she said with a sneer on her face, as if she were just making a comment on the weather. The judge was unable to hear what was said. She averted her gaze, but her lawyer did not. While I was pretending that my hands were not shaking, I took a deep breath. My lawyer gave me a pat on the shoulder while muttering something or other about an appeal. In order to prevent myself from crying in front of all those strangers in suits, I nodded and kept my gaze focused on the floor. My sister Clara sent me a text message asking, "Are you all right?" "Yeah, I'll call you," I wrote after typing "no," then deleting it. In the end, I never actually called. Due to the fact that I did not have the funds to purchase a train ticket, I decided to travel to Barcelona via BlaBlaCar. I was not interested in talking to anyone or hearing my friends say, "It'll work out." I sat and stared out the window, like a child dreaming that the highway led to another world. A young man in his 20s was using his phone as he sat next to me. In the front seat there was an elderly woman who was sleeping with her lips open. Life continued as if my story were nothing more than a poorly executed episode of a low-budget TV series. At night, I made my way to my mother's house in Horta. It had been a year since she had died away, and everything remained exactly as it was. The basement, the living room, which was furnished with an ancient television set that hardly functioned, and the kitchen, where magnets from trips we never went were still stuck to the refrigerator, were all unaltered. That basement, which is a disorganized collection of just-in-case items, I mumbled to myself in a scornful tone of voice, "Welcome back to your humble abode." I went down to the basement of the house with the flashlight on my phone. The scent of clothing that had been kept in storage for an excessive amount of time was mixed with a musty odor. Boxes that were labeled with her handwriting. Christmas, books, and photographs. With my eyes fixed on the floor, I took deep, measured breaths as I was seated on a wooden stool. Although I was frightened to open the boxes because my mother was alive in those documents and trinkets, I was also afraid to remain motionless and allow my thoughts to overwhelm me. "Hello there, Mons," I said to the neighbor who was looking through the patio door. "Oh, Danny, I'm so sorry. Your mom was a gem. I brought you a dish of croquetas." "No, thanks," I made a false statement. "I'm fine, just tidying up." "Ring if you need anything," she answered with confidence. I began to move boxes randomly, opening them, looking inside, and then shutting them. I discovered a calendar from 2009 with days that had been marked. School pictures, notes that I had sent to Mom from summer camp, and a striped pullover that I despised. My thoughts were continuously occupied by images of Anna's face, the sound of her voice in the courtroom, and Lucas's hand in mine when we were at the park. After that, the boiler caught my attention. I had no recollection of the plaster panel that was located behind it. When I touched it, it moved. It was inadequately repaired. I took great care in prying it off of there. There was a dial on the front of a small gray safe that was concealed behind it. I was unable to move. In a quiet voice, I muttered, "What?" as if I thought that someone may actually respond. After brushing the dust off of it, the only thing present is the dial, as there is no keypad. The date, which is September 18, 1985, is faintly visible and has been scratched into the surface. The date on which I was born, my stomach began to churn. Sweat poured from my body. I turned the dial in the same way that it is done in the movies. To the left, then to the right, and then to the left once more. The date is September 18, 1985. A sharp, clear sound of clicking. The door opened with a creaking sound. There was a USB drive, a little key with a red ribbon, a stack of dollars that I was too embarrassed to even count, and a yellowed envelope with my name written on it inside. I had a difficult time opening the mail since my hands were awkward, the way my mother writes things out by hand. If you have made it to this point, then they have finally located you. My heart was beating so hard that I could hear it in my ears when I sat down on the floor with the envelope resting on my lap. They have either located you, or I've been unable to inform you myself because I was overtaken by dread prior to being able to do so, if you are currently reading this. I was a person who lacked courage. I apologize for it. With my breath coming in short gasps, I read it 3 times. These are merely males wearing clothes and driving inexpensive automobiles that spend a little too long looking at your face. They are not monsters from the movies. One of them was owed money by your father. Karas was the name that they called him. They seized his list of names as well as us when your father disappeared. I made the best payment I could. There were times when they left me alone for years at a time. Every now and again, a new person would arrive to remind me that life is a debt that must be repaid. I did not wish for you to be burdened by their responsibilities. I kept a tiny fund, copies and papers. If you have been located by them, you should call the notary whose contact information is included on this card. When you call, ask to speak with Gemma Vives. She was able to keep what I was not. Refrain from engaging in any behavior that could be considered dangerous. You should not be out of sight. Make sure to document everything, and be careful not to frighten the children. Mom, I love you so much. Inside the card, there was not only the card itself, but also a page that included dates, little sums, and notes such as JC came quiet, which were all related to payments. Keep an eye on the door for the next 3 months. I kept my gaze fixed on the wall. I had been raised in an environment with rules that I did not fully comprehend, but they were suddenly beginning to make sense to me. A phrase that I had heard my mother say over and over again rang in my ears: lock the door. If the phone rings and no one speaks, hang up. I listened while another person's voice filled the air, and then I said, "Okay," in a voice that could be heard by others. The custody of the children, which the judge had determined was more stable, the house worth 2 million euros that was no longer mine, and the trial were all contributing to the already fragile state of my mental health. When I was at home, I was considered to be a good person. Nevertheless, in court, good is not enough to overcome well-advised. The Madrid mansion in Chamartin had taken over our lives. I eventually caved in to Anna's desire to have it. I allowed them to outfit me in a character that was not a good match for me because we were that young couple who were making it. I signed documents that I hardly even read, leaving Anna and her cousin, who is a lawyer and someone she trusts, to take the lead. She had the script ready to go when things took a turn for the worse. She was in the kitchen when she made the statement. We signed separate property, but the house is ours. Danny, you should not be so old-fashioned. It is a practical solution. I answered, okay, since I wanted quiet. The bank was the rightful owner of the 2 million euros. We did not have any legal claim to it. However, when the divorce was finalized, the papers stated what they stated, and I was completely overwhelmed by the legal jargon that her cousin used, such as regime, liquidation, and suitability. They would give me a look of compassion when I said, "But the children." Clara received a phone call from me. I found Mom safe. A letter, money, a name, Karis. Ring a bell? Sounds like nothing. She muttered to herself. Are you frightened? Yes, I am. I am not sure if it is the letter or all of the other things that are going on. What is going to happen next? According to the letter, we need to call a notary public by the name of Gemma Vives. You should do that. Do not do anything stupid, and do not touch the money. I ended the call and then called Marcos, who is a friend who has previously saved me from signing contracts that would have been detrimental to me. He was in high spirits, unaware of the storm that was brewing within me as he greeted me with, "Yo, how's it going?" "Bad trial, you know. And I found a safe in the basement." "What?" he exclaimed with laughter. "Secret double life." "I wish. There's a letter, a guy named Karas, a notary contact. That's not made-up stuff. Listen, book the notary tomorrow. Bring the papers. I'll send you Laura's number. She's a family lawyer who knows her stuff. Mine ditched me back then. And don't bottle up this Anna thing. Record everything. Get it in writing. Those people thrive on tricks, not evidence." Another text arrived. "I need your IBAN in order to pay child support." There was no greeting from Anna. I responded by saying that I would send it soon. No, not today. I turned off the airplane mode on my mobile phone. There was a throbbing sensation in my head. I gave consideration to the money that was in the envelope, the legal fees, and the contents of the refrigerator that was upstairs, which included 2 yogurts that had gone past their expiration date, as well as an onion. I connected the USB drive to my computer. Folders with titles that are unappealing. Bank, loan, 200K Anna Danny, old_photos, Karas_Miss C. I've opened a loan for $200,000 with Anna and Danny. Scanned PDFs, a secret contract, a receipt signed by Anna, received from Teresa, 200,000 euros to be refunded upon sale, separation, or divorce. 2017, my signature, her signature, and the notary stamp of Gemma Vives. I was unable to move. My mother had provided us with the down payment for the house in Madrid, and because it was a family matter, I had completely forgotten about it. WhatsApp made a buzzing sound. Marcos, Laura's office is where we will meet tomorrow at 11 o'clock in the morning. Make sure to bring everything with you. Once more, Monsi took a peep inside. You look pale, Danny. You need to eat something. I'm leaving the croquetas anyway, so you can heat them up tomorrow. Thank you, really. I was grateful, but felt terrible as I made my way up the stairs carrying the plate. Everything was in a state of confusion. Marcos and his connections, my mother Monsi, who worked as a notary and whom I had never had the pleasure of seeing, and Anna, who demanded my international bank account number, IBAN, as if she were a general. The combination of her and them was a source of anxiety. I was once again experiencing the feeling of being a child of 10 years old. Because the bed linens had an odor that reminded me of times gone by, I chose to sleep on the living room sofa with my jacket on. I went over that first phrase in my mind before I closed my eyes. If you are reading this, they have at long last located you. Who is this person? Karas, Anna, are you referring to my mistakes? All at the same time. Located on a mezzanine on Balmes Street, Gemma Vives' notary office was adorned with diplomas hanging on the walls, irrigated plants, and the aroma of coffee and toner. The secretary smiled at me as if I weren't lugging a gloomy cloud about with me. The notary, Mr. Daniel, will be with you in 10 minutes, Gemma said. Her demeanor was so serene that it made you feel like you weren't bothering her. According to her, she was acquainted with your mother. I'm so sorry, she was sharp. She left instructions for you or Clara. I didn't call you myself. I didn't want to rush things. You did right, I responded to her. She requested that I show her my identification and provide my signature after she gave me an envelope that had been sealed. There was an additional letter as well as additional documents inside. A certified copy of the loan contract for 200,000 euros, and a bank transfer record from my mother's account to both Anna's and mine. Danny, if you are here, it means that you did not attempt to take on the role of the hero by yourself. Excellent. The loan that was taken out for the house was not a gift. I wanted to make sure that you felt as if you were capable of handling the situation, so I did not say anything to you, even though I had already told you. You entered into an agreement by signing a contract. You should come here if they tell you that it does not exist. If they claim that the house is not your property, keep in mind that everything that does not belong to you must be returned to its rightful owner. Consider your children if you are embarrassed to make use of this. I clenched my teeth on my lip. For the first time in days, I had not only a feeling of remorse, but also a faint glimmer of justice. This is effective, Gemma remarked. Private contracts with transfer-proof hold up. I don't know how your divorce settled, but the debt exists, and you can discuss it in liquidation or compensation. You'll need a good family lawyer, maybe a civil one, too. I carried the folder with me in my backpack, like a rope on a mountain climb when I departed. I telephoned Laura, who is the lawyer that represents Marcos and his family. On that day, when she came to meet me, her tightly wound bun and her tone of voice suggested a mix of patience and haste. She maintained a formal tone in order to keep me intact, saying, "Danny, let's organize. First, visitation. She's already breached it. She canceled my video call with the kids yesterday. Said they were tired. Okay, we'll track everything on a co-parenting app. No more WhatsApp, everything there. Second, child support. I need your last 12 months' income and expenses. Third, the house and loan. That's another battle, but we can open it. It's a valid title. If she won't pay, we sue. Fourth, this Carras stuff. Different jurisdiction, but we cover you. File a preventive report if there's a threat. That is quite a bit. Yes, but we can take things one step at a time. Do you have enough money to cover legal fees? I considered the pile of invoices that had been accumulating. I have something. Good. One more thing. No more alone time with Anna, no calls, no arguments. Everything in writing. I'll handle her lawyer. Her lawyer's her cousin. Even better, he'll be overconfident. I departed with a list of things that needed to be done. Clara received a phone call from me. Laura says we can claim Mom's loan. Mom knew. She always did, Clara stated in response. And this them thing? I'm going to the police, just in case. Want me to come? No. Stay out of it for now. I'll update you. At 10:30 that evening, the doorbell rang. I made a jump. A man in his 30s, wearing a low-quality leather jacket and sporting a well-groomed beard, grinned without showing his teeth as he looked through the peephole. While looking at the camera, he inquired, "Is that you, Danny? Who is this person?" "They are a friend of your father's." I felt a constriction in my throat. "My father is no longer alive. I am not here to cause any problems for you, so open the door. I do not open the door for strangers. Suit yourself. If you want to save yourself some trouble, just give me a call. My name is Jordy." He slid a piece of paper under the door. It emanated a strong smell of cologne. I held my breath until the moment that he departed. A name and a number that was difficult to see were both included on the paper. The number was connected to a person who was involved in my father's past. I got in touch with Marcos over phone. Somebody arrived. He claims that his name is Carras. Do not open the door for anyone. The police will be here tomorrow. Keep the paper. Have there been any threats? Only to save you trouble. That is all the more reason to report it. I was unable to get much sleep as I dreamt of the boiler which had a child inside of it, and Anna's voice which was screaming, "You will never see them again," from inside a drawer full of cutlery. The following morning I made a request for 7 o'clock in the evening. Make a call to Lucas and Sophia using the application. They have a fever, Anna responded. I made a request for a note from the doctor. I apologize for that. Danny, you need to refrain from giving me a lecture. I made a copy of the conversation and saved it. The police officer was making notes in the police station. Violence? Threats? No, just possible coercion. File a report for future reference. Call 112 if he returns. I took a seat on a bench and dialed Anna's phone number. She barked, "Do not call me. Use the app. I want to see the kids. It's 7 p.m. tonight. They're sick. Send a doctor's note. I'm not sending you anything. You'll see me in court chasing papers." Anna, what? Gonna cry? I told you no kids. My peripheral vision became fuzzy. I ended the phone call, walked to the bathroom in the bar, and, shaking, leaned against the sink. The reflection that I saw in the mirror revealed that there were bags under my eyes and that I had 3 days' worth of stubble. There is one thing that is abundantly clear. If I do not establish a barrier, this will destroy me. Do not try to conceal yourself, is what Mother wrote in her letter. Make a note of it. Laura. There are no phone calls. Make use of the application. I considered money that was in the shoebox, 8,000 euros, which would be enough to cover legal bills and groceries for 1 month. From this point on, all communication will be conducted through this channel. Therefore, I have launched the app and sent a message to Anna. At 7 o'clock in the evening, as ordered by the court video conference with you later today, if you do not comply, a report will be filed tomorrow. I am grateful for your assistance. I captured a snapshot of Jordy's paper, and then I forwarded it to Marcos and Laura after I had already sent it. Mother would have been satisfied with such order. The days that followed were an indistinct mixture of paperwork, telephone conversations, and lengthy periods of silence. Laura submitted a complaint of violation for the visits that she skipped. She demonstrated to me how to use the application, which included templates, brief messages, and no emotions. Good morning to you. For X hour, I would like to request a video call. See evidence attached. The responses that Anna gave were sharp. To Mr. V, my client is of the opinion that your insistence is causing the children to experience stress. Her cousin, who is an attorney, wrote in an email that was condescending. Please do not do that. Laura retaliated by saying, attached are requests that fall within the hours mandated by the court. Your cooperation is requested. We will continue to move forward. It was a great comfort to have someone stand up for me without raising their voice. On one Friday, at 7:05, I saw Lucas's exhausted face on my computer, with Sophia sitting right next to him, wearing a unicorn pajama. Papa, Sophia exclaimed in a cheerful voice. Hello, my darling. Hello, Lukey. Mom says that you're in Barcelona, Lucas replied as if he were throwing a stone. I lied to you so that I could avoid your grandmother and maintain a light atmosphere. I said, yeah, at Grandma Teresa's house. Remember? How are you doing? Sophia asked. I'm doing well. We created a craft, she continued. And how was the soccer tournament, Lucas? I didn't go. My stomach was bothering me. Oh, did you draw anything? He gave me a sketch, 4 stick figures holding hands, a home with a red door. You are you, and this is the house. I took a deep breath and did my best to keep the tears from coming. I informed them that I was working on the house of my grandmother and was going through boxes, and Mons made an appearance with some croquetas. Sophia wanted to know, who is Monse? Lucas said with a serious expression on his face, Mother told me that I should avoid consuming food offered by people I don't know. and then added, "A neighbor who cooks well." She is correct, but Monsi is not a stranger to me. I have known her for as long as I can remember. The call lasted for a total of 9 minutes. Anna declared that it was time to stop because all of the time had been used up. At 9:30, my mother brought an end to the conversation I was having with Laura after I had saved it and forwarded it to her. She gave the response, "Received." The matter of the loan progressed at a steady pace, but it was not quick. Ernesto, who works as a civil lawyer, and Laura decided to work together on a project. He went over the notary documents and stated, "There's a case, the debt is hers to your mother's estate, we can claim it. If she doesn't pay, we enforce. The house is whoever's on the deed, but a debt's a debt. So don't fixate on the house. Focus on the debt recognition." The relative of Anna gave her a phone call. "Danny, man, how you holding up? Talk to my lawyer. No need to get like that. Family sorts this out better. My lawyer. That paper from your mom? No, wait. My lawyer." He let out a deep breath. "Fine, we will have a conversation." My heart was pounding as I ended the call, but I felt a newfound sense of self-respect. If I didn't insist on it, there wouldn't be anyone who would. The Karas problem did not disappear. While I was in the process of throwing out the trash, Jordy made another appearance. "Let's talk." Nothing to say. My mom had no debts. If you've got a claim, take it to court. "Yeah, court," he responded with laughter. With a calm and firm voice, I said to you, "I have reported you to the authorities. Return here and I will do it again. There are cameras," he said as he glared at them before departing. I got in touch with Paco, who is a retired inspector that Gemma suggested I contact. While enjoying a cup of coffee in Gracia, he stated, "Caras isn't a thing anymore. It's like saying the bar guy. They broke up. Some are in jail. They smell weakness and test you. Keep reporting, use cameras, alert neighbors, and don't pay without papers. Your mom paid in another era. You've got tools now. Use the law. If they threaten 112, don't engage." I felt more at ease when I returned to the basement. I asked Monsi to keep any packages that looked unusual. I have requested that Clara refrain from approaching me at this time. I placed a real camera that was inexpensive on the door, along with a phony patio camera. I organized papers as if it had the potential to bring order to my life. Long hours, little compensation, and clients who were always late for appointments made working there difficult. My income was not sufficient to cover the high cost of child support. The courts were reluctant to act, but Laura made a request for a change. I would be out of money in 2 months' time, despite the fact that the 8,000 euros covered fees, food, and bills. I pleaded for work with a former project partner of mine, and I was able to secure a position in e-commerce dashboards that paid very little. I had to swallow my pride so frequently that I began to question whether I still had any left. Laura sent a text message on one of the days that read, "They have confirmed that they received it." Providing supervised visits in Madrid on alternating Saturdays, video calls as mandated by the court, and a 3-year schedule for repayment of the loan. As I looked at the phone, and I began to weep. A tiny sliver of brightness in the chaos, I made a phone call. What's next? We negotiate a payment schedule with payroll or property guarantees. Secure a progressive visitation plan. The house isn't the fight now. It's seeing your kids and settling your mom's debt. The children miss you, according to the message that Anna sent through the app. Saturday at 10 a.m. until 6 o'clock in the evening. Would you be able to join us? I typed, then removed, then sent the message. Confirmed. Parquet Berlin on Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. I am grateful for your assistance. Lucas sprinted over to me and embraced me as soon as I arrived at the park. After giving me a suspicious look, Sophia gave me a kiss on my cheek. Anna, who was holding her phone in her hand, was observing from a distance. "I appreciate your attendance," I said to them, With her eyes fixed on her computer screen, she responded by saying, "Don't start to get accustomed to it. I will continue to make my presence known." Yes, the competent digital expert. I pretended not to notice and hunkered down with the children. Lucas inquired, "Papa, would you like some ice cream?" I took 3 sandwiches from Mons out of the bag and said, "Of course, but sandwiches first." Anna inquired, "Who is Monsi?" She could barely conceal her jealousy. I addressed my neighbor, saying, "Hello? No worries, no one knew." "I'm not worried. Good to know." The day consisted of playing games, Anna taking them to the potty, and Anna saying, "Papa, look." There were also short periods of stillness. Anna scowled at me as if to say, "You are responsible for what happened," when Sophia began to cry as we said our farewells. I got down on my knees before Sophia. "I give you my word that it will happen next Saturday, and Papa is always true to his word," Anna declared with a puff of air. But she did not say anything further. My heart was weighed down with sadness, but I remained grounded as I walked to the metro station. The months went by, there was not anything that could be considered magical. Laura was instrumental in the establishment of a Teresa of High estate account, and the loan installments were successfully transferred into it. Although it wasn't my own money, it did provide some breathing room. The number of visits has increased, Saturdays, then alternating weekends, and now Wednesday afternoons. Video calls were treated as holy, and any violations of the rules were punished. Anna was perceived by the court as an individual who had come to the realization that she could not make decisions on her own, while I was perceived as dependable. The Caras thing did not last. It was smoke, just as Paco had said. I reported 2 other lurkers and they never came back. I no longer jump at every little sound because I put a motion sensor light. Sleep arrived in little bursts. By making my sales pitches in a clear and concise manner and by charging reasonable prices, I was able to attract more high-quality clients. I rented a tiny studio apartment near the metro station, which included a bunk bed for the children, and I also sold unneeded technological devices. Lucas claims that the blue wall we painted is meant to represent the water. Sophia said that she does not have a fear of the dark because Papa painted the sky, and she went on to add vinyl stars to it. When it comes to Anna, I keep it simple and use the app. I do not take the bait when she tries to antagonize me. I keep a record of the time she fails to abide by the rules. I express my gratitude to her in the event that she complies with my request. Anger is something that comes naturally to me, but I am not one to hold on to grudges. That gets on paper. At one point, while they were at the meeting point, she attempted to say, "What a weak man. He doesn't even try to fight for the house." Anna, from this point forward, you will show respect and follow the rules. There will be no other form of communication. The children are not your weapon or my shield. They are our children. She gave her a silent, blank look, as if she were listening to a foreign language. The house that my mother owns does not weigh on me anymore. I make contact with the chilly metal as I open the safe. There is nothing in there at the moment, with the exception of the letter and the key with the red ribbon. I occasionally read it, but not every time. I came to the understanding that I should not live my life according to that sentence, but rather utilize it as a guide. The judge, the bank, my cousin who is a lawyer, Karis's ghosts, and my own anxieties, all of these have discovered your whereabouts. However, I also discovered myself, which may be what Mom desired. I neither sought to regain possession of the house, which is worth 2 million euros, nor do I have any desire to do so. I do not desire dwellings that will overwhelm me. I would want a table that is not encumbered by debt, as well as a door that locks from the interior. I am just a person who has a laptop and 2 children who call me Papa, with such enthusiasm that it makes my lungs feel like they are going to burst. I am not a hero in the movies. The lesson is not pleasant, but it is obvious. Boundaries protect you in terms of finances, love, and family. If they are not present, someone will take advantage of your quiet and use your hands to write their own narrative. Maintain documents, insist on writing, speak less, and accept assistance. Never negotiate with your fears if someone makes a threat against something that means a lot to you. Make a phone call, write a letter, file a report, keep a record. There is no spectacular victory, yet there is serenity. And in this life, tranquility is the true luxury that one may afford. Instead of money, my mother received a manual as her inheritance. The message of the booklet was as follows: do not conceal yourself. Write it down, save it, then call it. Also, there was a gentle affection that had me in its grasp: Monsi's croquettes, Marcos's contacts, Laura's templates, Paco's advise, and my children's little hands wrapped around my finger. I made changes to the combination of the safe before departing the basement and heading to the studio. It is now just a number that only I can understand. The date on which I decided to establish boundaries for myself, rather than my birth date. More practical than romantic in nature, it belongs to me. As I leave the children to Anna's house, I stop at the gate and feel the need to send a text message with something that will hurt someone's feelings. I do not. I return to my house, prepare a meal, start the laundry, and write in this space, which is like a second basement, to remind myself of the lesson that I had to learn the hard way. If you do not protect your own peace, no one else will do it for you.